This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, and welcome back to another Realistic Sustainability Educational Short. So this week we get to talk about something that I'm a little passionate about, and you might even hear it in your town or city. It's called complete streets. You hear me talk about this kind of stuff occasionally, but what is complete streets? Complete streets is a transportation policy and design approach that requires streets to be planned, designed, operated, and maintained to enable safe, convenient, and comfortable travel for all citizens no matter how they choose to travel. Well, every city is designed for cars, and that's not necessarily the best. Not for small cities, not for large cities, not for towns or villages. Cars are kind of a secondary travel, and I'll tell you why. There's reasons for this. It increases public safety if you allow different modes of transportation. First of all, other than a car, what are those modes of transportation? Well, bigger cities, you see buses and trains, but in smaller towns like mine, here in Durand, walking and riding bikes are kind of a big deal. We can get a lot of places just by simply walking, and even all the places by taking a bike. But without public safety, you may not choose to. A lot of the people in Durand ride their bikes right in the road because we don't have a very good place yet to cycle. And our sidewalks are really narrow and broken up, but they're in the process of being replaced. And they're going to be replaced with much wider sidewalks. Complete streets should allow for a minimum of 8 feet on a sidewalk. That's basically 2 strollers side by side. We want walking and biking to be fun, not dangerous. So part of that public safety is the proper place to go. The rest of it is making sure there's barriers between cars and bicyclists or walkers. Cars, although all the cities have been designed for them, are dangerous and very rarely even needed in town. We just choose to use them out of habit. How many times did Nick and I talk in our earlier episodes about how we didn't walk uptown to record, even though it's like 4 blocks away? It's just a habit to drive. Over time, we're hoping that if you feel safe, you'll choose other methods, and that's part of what Complete Streets does. Another big part is they've learned that it greatly boosts the local economy. Think about it. How many times do you drive through a town? Do you stop at every store? No. You're just trying to get to a place and get home. Plus, you got to park and get in and out. It's not necessarily the most fun. But if you're walking across town, and you're walking by all these buildings, it takes no effort to just kind of pop in. You stop into that new store that you just saw was there. That doesn't happen when you're driving. You're focused on driving. Walking, you get to look around. And what they're finding is local economies in small towns especially are booming. People who are walking by stop in. I don't think we're all that surprised about that. Also, another reason why the economy gets better is when you have complete streets, it allows all people in all modes to travel. That includes the elderly and disabled. These people are generally excluded from most things. They're not anymore. Like here in Durand, we have a pedestrian refuge. That probably sounds funny. It's not a place to hide like a house for the weekend, but it is a little island between one of our busier roads, right by the grocery store. So if someone isn't as mobile, they have a place to stop and rest for a moment before they complete crossing the street. Now, you know how it is. Every once in a while, people get cranky. They say, I don't know why that's there. Well, it's there because there's no purpose for anything else to be there. There isn't a left-hand turn. There isn't a place for a car to be there. There's no reason. Yet, they still hit them, and for a little while, it takes a while for people to get used to them. But, in the meantime, pedestrians use them. We have guardrails up and barriers to keep them safe. So it doesn't matter if it takes a while to cross the road. You still can, and you still can safely. And that's another reason why Complete Streets helps people become inclusive in their town. It also creates higher property values. I don't know if you know this or not, but when you go to look at a house, A lot of people look at, how can I get around? Are there people walking? Are there people biking? Because that leads to leisure. It's something that when people see that, they see it as comfort. Well, guess what? It also leads to higher property values. Your house is worth more when the city prepares. And something that I don't always put in here, but I'm gonna today, is that with complete streets, people tend to travel in a lot of different ways, whatever works for them. But those bikers, those walkers, the ones on the scooters, they tend to talk to more people. They cross their neighbors and wave. They stop and they chat. When the city is built for comfort and people can move in different ways, they also communicate more often. They also spend more time together. Our community gets stronger because we all know each other. That's another advantage to not having everyone in a car that occasionally they wave. Here, you can stop and chat. If you haven't met this other neighbor, now's a great time to do it. Building communities seems at times to have been lost, but it doesn't have to be. I think it's kind of coming back. So when we think of the term complete streets or walkable cities, don't just turn your nose up and say, that's change. I can't do that. Understand that it's more inclusive. It's nicer and calmer. Yeah, it slows traffic down a little bit, but let's face it, a lot of times in town, people need to slow down. It needs to be safer. But what it does do is it brings all of our residents back into society. We get less traffic, less noise, because there's less cars. There's more community involvement, and let's face it, it's better all around. Especially when the economy is booming because we're all stopping in at the ice cream place this summer. So, I hope that you don't immediately dismiss when someone talks about making changes in your town. Complete streets, it always turns out good. I appreciate you listening. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. If you know someone who works within a city, share it with them. Hopefully they'll have questions. We can talk about it. I love to talk about complete streets. Anyways, I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Feeling overwhelmed by climate change? Looking for sustainable and ethical brands to support? Then Ethic is perfect for you. Ethic is a simple browser extension that helps you find sustainable and ethical brands online. Learn more at ethyk.org, ethyk.org.